I know this angle is weird, but it's comfy. Hi! Hey! Hi! It's me, your Void, and we are having another wrap up here. So, as you may or may not know, you should know, because you hopefully watched my October TBR, and if you have not, what are you doing here? Go and watch it. I can wait. Okay, hi, cool, welcome back. So, as you may know now that you watched the video, I am participating in the Scarathon hosted by Jess from This Kiwi, which is a readathon that aims to push you out of your comfort zone. I said in my TBR video that I'm going to take it easy because I feel a bit slumpy. So I aim for a 3x3 bingo board with 8 reading prompts, and I thought that is enough. Yeah, about that. So today is October 6th, and I have read 6 books so far. It is just after 11 a.m., and I have not touched anything to read yet. So that means I am 6 days deep into October and have read 6 books. And everyone is talking about a 31 and 31 challenge, and I was like, nah, that is way too stressful. I'm never gonna do that. I think I tried to go for it. I think I actually want to try and go for it. So this might be a very long video. But yeah, I have finished 6 things already this month. So let's go through them, shall we? The first read I finished this month was Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which is the second book by Aidan Thomas that I read, and I was not a fan of Sunbearer Trials, which you can see back here. This one, better. This one is a murder mystery, sort of, following a guy named Yadriel, and Yadriel is a trans guy in a society that is very much adherent to its own gender roles. He is a brujo, but no one believes him that he is a brujo because he was assigned female at birth, so people are like, we don't know what to do with you. So he desperately wants to prove that he is a brujo, and he does some ritual stuff, and then by the end, to prove that he is who he says he is, he accidentally kind of summons the ghost of Julian, a not friend from school, not bully from school, it's just a guy from school. And Yadriel now has to figure out why Julian is dead, or rather he has to help Julian find peace so he can send him to the afterlife. While that is happening, there is a murder mystery going on, because at the beginning of the book, a cousin of Yadriel was murdered, and that is the ghost he actually tried to summon to figure out who killed you. So we try to figure out that murder mystery while also helping Julian to pass over. The murder mystery was pretty flat. Lee from Chaos Archives and Kirsty from K-Beth Bookish, they love this book. They love it. So I was like posting in the Discord, like, okay, calling it on page, I think it was 34, I called it that this thing is going to be important, and then on page 120 I was like, okay, this is the murder plot. This is it. And I was right. So the murder plot was not that interesting. It was very flat. But the characters were kind of interesting, and the banter between them was okay. So I gave this a solid 3 stars. And this one is definitely better than Sunbearer Trials. I'm going to speedrun these because, again, it's so many books that I already read. The next thing I read was The Shepherd by Ethan Cross. The Shepherd by Ethan Cross is a reread for me. In this one we follow Marcus, and Marcus is a retired cop. He always wanted to be a cop, and he was a cop, and then bad shit happened, and he realized, shit, the world is fucked, I don't want to be a cop anymore. Funnily enough, he also has problems with authority and a little, like, inclination for violence, so his superiors were also like, yeah, you might want to retire early. He also inherited a ranch, so now he is living his best small town life, or at least is trying to, because in the small town he's now living in, people keep dying! And it is also said that one of the most prolific serial killers of the United States is in the area, and him being a cop, he has the instinct, so he's like, okay, but, like, can I help, I guess? Because, like, you know, he literally murdered my neighbor! That is one perspective, and the other perspective is the one of the serial killer, which is Francis Eckerman, who is basically a experiment. His dad tried to prove that serial killers are made, not born, and in order to do that, he took Francis, his own son, and tortured him, and taught him how to kill, and now we have this monster that doesn't know what the fuck, how to stop killing, because that is all he ever knew. It's like, okay, I'm in pain, my dad taught me the pain will stop if I kill, so he keeps killing, but he is still in pain because his dad tortured him, so now there's a lot of pain going on. It's a whole thing. This one, again, because it was a reread, I don't really want to give an accurate rating. I still rated it 4 stars like I rated it the first time around. It's a quick read and very action-packed. There's a lot of philosophy going on in there. But I had a big issue with this one because I got the audiobook from my library, library, for this one, and I didn't realize it was the abridged version. Abridged audiobooks are very, very popular in Germany for some reason. So I threw on the audiobook. I was confused. Why is the rating so low for this audiobook on the app? Because the book actually has a solid rating. So I was confused by that, and I threw it on, and then it just started skipping chapters. The abridged audiobook actually leaves out most of Francis's POV, which completely changes the vibe of the book. It also leaves out huge chunks of the actual character interactions going on besides the murder investigation. So the book, the audiobook only focuses on the murder investigation. The murder investigation is not the driving force of this. It is the characters and how they react to what is going on, because they are doing it to each other. That's why you have Marcus on the one side and Francis on the other side, because they are opposed to each other. So if you are cutting out one POV and then reduce all of the character actions the other POV has, you're missing so much of the actual story. And I had a little rant on Instagram about it, like, why are abridged audiobooks even a thing? Like, the author put shit in there for a reason. This is a traditionally published book. It went through professional edits and was published. So everything that is in the book has a reason to be in the book. Why cut it out of the audiobook to completely change the story you're told? So I listened to about half of the audiobook and I realized, okay, the rating for the audiobook now makes sense, because the audiobook version of this, the abridged audiobook version of this, is a completely different book and doesn't make sense. If you only listen to the abridged version of the audiobook, you're missing half of the book, and what you are left with is just a bad story. It's just a bad book. So you pick up the whole book. Please, for the love of everything, don't listen to the abridged audiobook. Listen to the full audiobook or read the book itself, because oh my god, that was so bad. So I ditched the audiobook, gave that back, and I just read it physically, but at that point I was like halfway through. I did pause the audiobook every time there was a discrepancy between the text and what I was hearing, so I paused it and read along. That was so exhausting, man. I gave this 4 stars again, and with that my reread of the whole series has started. And then, while I was reading these, because I was not reading these in a day, I also read the first 3 volumes of Sanctify by God Station. I gave 3.5 stars to Volume 1, 4 stars to Volume 2, and 4 stars to Volume 3. And today I'm probably going to read Paradise Lost, which is like a sequel after that. You very much have to read them in one go. You have to binge read Sanctify, because on their own, they are very confusing. This started as, I think, a webtoon, but not on webtoons. Like, this came from the internet, right? And it shows, especially in the first one, because the world building is kind of all over the place, and so is the story. It catches itself a bit in the second one, when we then actually have like a through line, like a plot, and in the third one, you have the big conclusion. In Sanctify, we follow 2 characters. Mainly, we follow Lance, and Lance is like the exorcist. Watch my October TBR video, I'll go into detail over there. And Lance has this new partner, Jill, and they are sent to investigate very gruesome murders that look like cult murders. And Lance is an exorcist, so he is there investigating the evil spirits that are attached to the whole thing. It's hard to describe without spoilering, but previous lives are a thing. This series takes the whole mythology of if you have a scar or like a mark on your body when you are born, like a birthmark, that was probably the way you died in your previous life. That kind of stuff. It takes this mythology and uses it as like the base of their magic system. Do I call it a magic system? And Lance has a lot of these marks. And then you have Jill, and Jill is very interested in these marks. And during this case, you see connections between Lance and Jill, between their previous lives, and between the people who were murdered. Like, it's actually a very personal case to both of these people. Jill is obsessed with Lance and with the markings of his previous life and with Lance's health. And Lance is just trying to do his job. Lance is just trying to do his job. And then there's Jill, and he's just like all touchy-feely, and he's like, what the fuck are you going on about? My overall conclusion for the series is, it's very confusing, but very pretty. The art style is amazing. Like I love this art style. It's just very cool, and the monstrous elements are also very very pretty and very cool. But like the story is so confused. It doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure it could make sense if it had time to breathe, but the way it is now, it feels like an unedited, rushed thing. This story could have used room to breathe. Like, don't make it 3 volumes, make it like 6 or something. Just let it breathe. Let shit happen. You know? Let shit sit. Instead, we get like a bunch of jumping around. But there is potential, especially from these two authors, because, again, the second volume is a lot more coordinated because most of the story happens in a flashback. Like, we get a massive flashback that then ties back into the present, and the present, like the flashback happens, the people go someplace, and then the flashback is basically the history of the place, and then by the end of the book they connect the dots basically. So this one, where the plot is actually strong, it shows the potential of the whole series. So if it only had some room to breathe. I have read it, now I liked it. Now it can be pretty on my shelf without making me feel guilty. I'm a bit behind, I'm like 2 days behind, but I'm reading bigger books, so they take me a hot second to get there. I'm sure it will be fine by the end of it. The first thing I read in the past week is Lost Paradise, the Sanctify, I think we can call it an epilogue, by God Station. This one is, as you can see, a bit shorter than the rest. And it's basically what I just said. It's an epilogue to the other 3 mangas, which takes place, I think, 2 years after the first 3. The main thing, I don't know, it's some time after the other 3 books, and Lance is more self-destructive than ever, and he is fighting a new cult, and strange things happen in his favor. And by the end, it turns out that Jill is not as dead as he thought. That's all there is to it. It's very open-ended. I don't think the authors are going back on it anytime soon, but it is open-ended. Who knows? Maybe we'll get more of that. Strangely enough, I have to say, this is more coherent than the other 3, even though it is shorter. Maybe because it is shorter, it's more coherent. Because you have the story, and it has to go somewhere because you don't have the page count to play around with. And the drama between the characters is also more spot on because there is no wishy-washy flashback situations going on. To be fair, Lance and Jill now know more about who they are and who they are for each other, towards each other, in the context of each other, and the whole demon cult thingamathing thing. So we can skip all of that, and that's the part that's missing here. But this also shows that that is the part that made everything so convoluted. I don't think the pacing in the first 3 was off. I just think the way it was spaced between like the character development and the actual plot, that was what was whack. That was not balanced right. But this one was great. I like this one. I gave it 4 stars. The next thing I read is, let me check my notes, Headless Hollow by Brooklyn Cross, which is an audiobook arc I got off of NetGalley. I saw it, I applied for it, I got it, and then I listened to it. That has to be like the most efficient arc reading I've ever done. It's a dark romance novella with some Sleepy Hollow elements where we follow a character. She is the coroner of a small town. I think it's Sleepy Hollow. It's not really name dropped anytime, but like I think it's Sleepy Hollow. Supposed to be Sleepy Hollow at least. And she is working on a case where bodies, or rather heads, show up, and they want to find the man who is doing the decapitation thing. And she is working together with our Ichabod Crane character, and she thinks he is hot. She had a crush on him since high school, but he's a bit of a forbidden fruit because he actually has a fiance. But now strange things happen. The head of her ex-boyfriend shows up in her bathroom, so now she is part of the case, but for some reason we ignore all of the police regulations, and she is allowed to keep working on the case, even though it was her house the head was found in, and it was her ex that was the target. It's fine. Also, our Ichabod Crane character is randomly flirting with her for no apparent reason, and she is very self-conscious about it because she knows he is engaged. She cannot touch him, so why is he flirting with her? Things escalate, because then there's shit going on left, right, and center, and I have to say, it was weird. Mostly because I was constantly pulled out of the story because of the male narrator. He did an okay job, but there were certain parts where his narration sounded less like an audiobook narration and more like a dirty ASMR video. He could have done with a bit more distance between him and the microphone. A little less mouth noises, please. Thank you. So that was taking me out of the story a little bit. And the complete abandonment of police procedures, like her working on the job even though it was her house as a crime scene and her ex-boyfriend as a victim. That is not the worst thing they did. And I know it's a dark romance and I'm not supposed to be interested in the actual plot behind the book, and I should focus more on the relationship of the characters, but oh my god. It was so bad. It was so bad that it took me out every single time. The smut was solid. Again, male narrator leaned a bit too close into the microphone, but other than that, chef's kiss. Love that one. I do have to say that certain elements didn't quite make sense until you read the epilogue. The epilogue puts a new perspective on things that makes things very clear. So it was actually kind of hard for me to rate this. I gave it overall a 3.5 stars. It's a solid novella, and for the, 3 hours and 54 minutes of runtime, it was okay. Then I utilized my library's service of providing audiobooks when you have a library card, and I got myself the audiobook to one of the bigger books I finished, which is Noah by Sebastian Fitzek. I have talked about Sebastian Fitzek before when I listened to an ARC audiobook of one of his newer comedy books. This is not it. This is Sebastian Fitzek doing Sebastian Fitzek things. This is a thriller about a man who just woke up, no memories, but a gunshot wound in his shoulder. And things are happening. This is also, if you want to read this, you probably need to speak German. There is an English edition of this out there, so you can add that. Second of all, this features a global pandemic, specifically the beginning of a global pandemic, and it is mentioned how the world reacts to the global pandemic, and it is eerily similar to the pandemic we just had. So if that is something you are now sensitive to, be aware this might not be the book for you, because the pandemic is actually part of the setting, things that happen in the background and then later on happen in the foreground. Also, if you are prone to believing conspiracy theories, don't read this book. Don't read this book, because there are some very solid story threads in connection to the pandemic that I can see people believe for the actual pandemic we had. But all of that aside, this is a solid book. I listened to the audiobook while reading it, because this is bigger than it looks. This is over 500 pages, actually. And solid read. Solid read. We follow Noah as he tries to figure out who the frick he is and why the frick things happen to him the way they happen to him. And it's hard to describe what's going on, because Noah, most of the time, doesn't know what's going on, and it all starts to click into place once certain players from his past come back in. But this book is giving action thriller like The Bourne Identity. Not quite Mission Impossible. It's not as much action as Mission Impossible is. It's a little more on the spy side of things and like the intrigue and the political stuff going on. This one reminded me of The Bourne Identity. Basically, like all of the Bourne movies, actually. Like this is some good shit. This is some good shit. There were things happening. And it's actually baffling how accurate the description is of certain things, again, in connection with the pandemic, given that this was written in 2013. This was 7 years before the actual thing hit, and it was very accurate. I like that one. I gave it 4 stars. And the last thing I finished last week is the Tea Dragon Tapestry by Kay O'Neill, which is the 3rd and final volume in the Tea Dragon comics series, and it is so cute! Why are the Tea Dragons so cute? I don't even know how to explain what is going on in this volume of the comic, because it's just vibes. It's just vibes and character interactions between these people. It is just so heartwarming. And I swear, if you are in a mood, if you are in a bad mood, if you are sad, if you are just down, if you just need something soft in your life, something that will soothe your thoughts, your soul, your heart, whatever, read the Tea Dragon Society, read the Tea Dragon Festival, read the Tea Dragon Tapestry. This has to be the softest one of the 3, and I just love it. I can't describe what's happening in it. You just have to take my word for it that this is a soft pillow, but as a comic, it is very hard to describe. I gave it 4.5 stars because it was just so soft, cozy, and comfy, and I love it. week 3 of this impromptu 31 and 31 challenge. I thought it was a bad reading week, but then I looked at my stats and this was actually a solid reading week. I finished 6 things in that week, so I'm still kind of on track. I think I'm like 1 or 2 days behind at this point, but it's nothing I cannot catch up to. So we're still going strong. So what did I read last week? Well, I started off with The Color from Space by H.P. Lovecraft because my library has a little audio production, full cast audio production, and that was available. And I was like, okay, I need something that caused some kind of controversy according to the Scarathon board, but I also don't want to platform problematic authors that are still profiting off of their works, so I went with H.P. Lovecraft. Probably the most problematic person to have ever lived. The story itself is very simple. You know, something from space crashes into a farm animals die, plants die, the farmers die, cool, and they lose their shit before they all die. Wow, creepy. The thing is, when I was listening to The Color from Space, the acting was great. German voice actors they are in their own league. They are amazing. German voice acting is like top-notch voice acting. And in this specific production, a couple of my most favorite voices were in there. So that was pretty cool. So the acting was top-notch, but you can only do so much when you are given the dreadful dialogue that H.P. Lovecraft wrote. H.P. Lovecraft cannot write dialogue. I'm pretty sure it's because the man never talked to people, but that's not how people talk. The performance was amazing, and if you perform it as a piece, I think that works. Because you can act with all of these strange pauses and sentences in there. As an actor, you can work with that. But if you're just flat out reading it, it is so tedious. Ugh. But yeah, that was a quick just thrown in there. I never planned on reading it, technically. It's a read that happened. Then I wanted something quick again, and none of the books that I had on my various lists for this project spoke to me, so I just grabbed another Slaughterverse comic and I read House of Slaughter Volume 4, which is Alabasta, in which we follow a guy. He is only referred to as Bait or B, so let's call him B. And he is a white mask, but other than usually your white masks, he is alone on a job because he works as Bait. He basically sniffs out who is the person creating all these monsters in the neighborhood, and then the rest of his team comes in and kills everything. Because white masks hunt in packs, and I hate the white masks. I hate the white masks. They are so arrogant, and this comic basically shows us why they are so arrogant. The problem is, I don't get it. Like, they are literally doing what all the other masks are doing, which is their job. So why, on what are we basing the fact that we are the coolest, the bestest, the most efficient killers? No, you're not! No, you're not! You're not! The blue masks do their job just as well. The red masks do their job just as well. The black masks do their job just as well. It's just that the black masks keep dying a lot, so there aren't many left, but they are still good at what they're doing because they hunt the bigger, badder monsters. Whereas the white masks hunt the small fish because there are a lot of the small fish, so you need a lot of people to deal with the small fish. There is no reason for us to have that kind of an ego. But yeah, back to the story. B is put into this home, this foster home, where a bunch of kids are being fostered by very lovely people, and he has to sniff out who of these children is responsible for like a surge of monsters in the area. And we see him trying to fit in with all of these people in this house, while at the same time spending every single night fighting these monsters so that he has time to figure out who it is. So when he figures out who it is and what exactly is happening and who is producing all of these monsters, he has to make some decisions that he has never had to make beforehand. So that's where a little drama comes in. And I'm actually curious because at the end of this comic, shit happened with a red mask, and I don't know how they are going to wrap this up, because House of Slaughter is a short run of comics where you have these comics that explain what the mask colors do, and then you have Jace's story in the Butcher series, and they're flip-flopping. You have a Jace one, a mask one, a Jace one, a mask one. The next one is a Jace one, and I don't think there's another mask one. I don't think we get one for the blue masks. I'm kind of confused why we put this red mask storyline right at the end. And are we leaving it open? Because if we are leaving it open, what the fuck? What the fuck? How can we leave that open? How and why are we leaving that open? If we leave it open, what the fuck? Also, my boy Edwin from Scarlet, Volume 2, he showed back up again, and he is just as fucked up as ever, and I love him. I love my little Edwin. But yeah, there's some fucked up shit going on again, and he's also involved in this whole thing. That's like, what are we just leaving this here, or is this going somewhere? Because if this is not going anywhere, why? I need more. I gave the comic 4 stars. And then something called the Monsters Smash Readathon started, which is organized by a couple of people on Instagram, and there is a little bingo board, and I couldn't resist partaking. So I picked up Monster Romances, and I read 3 of them in like 3 days, and yeah, I experienced new things, because there are a couple of things on this bingo board that I myself have never gravitated towards when it comes to Monster Romance, simply because reasons. I don't know. So the first thing I read was something that featured a spider monster. I was never drawn to spider monsters, not because I'm arachnophobic, but because I don't think a spider is sexy. They are cool and creepy, but they just don't have the appeal for me, you know? But I picked up The Mabon Feast by C.M. Nascosta? I don't know. And this is a short story about a witch who has a room under the ceiling free, and she's renting it out to this spider guy, and they live together without actually living together because apparently he is basically invisible, and then somehow they fall in love, and when the Mabon Feast comes around, they do the deed. I gotta say, it was kinda boring. I mean, you have a giant-ass spider dude, and he is a spider dude. He's not a shifter, he's not wearing a glamour to look like a human. No. He is a full-blown spider person guy. He's like ginormous and things. But that's like all there is about him. I mean, yeah, he has interesting anatomy, but that also was described in a way that my brain could not comprehend exactly how it works. I'm pretty sure it just has a different sizing in certain areas. But again, it was written in a way that I couldn't comprehend what was going on. And also, if you have a spider main character, main love interest, and you do write smut scenes, just make the shibari interesting. You have a guy who can shit ropes. Use it! They did use it, but it was so boring. He just made a swing out of it. Use it! Be creative! Come on! Yeah. I gave that 3 stars, was not that intrigued. At least the world building was solid for something that is so short, but I don't think I want to continue with this specific series. The next thing I picked up was for the Lich prompt, and I picked up Love, Laugh, Lich by Kate Pryor. And oh my god, that was so good. That was so funny. I actually said to Kirsty and James, this is what Assistant of the Villain wants to be when it grows up. Because this is corporate magical evilness taking over the world, but it's still funny. So we are in this office, right? And it was a normal firm. And then one day, this evil overlord just overthrew the world by killing the hero who was destined to kill him. So evil won. So the CEO of this company just turned into a lich and is now dominating the world with evil magic. And we follow this lady who was his assistant to begin with, and now she's still his assistant, just that instead of ordering more paper clips, she is ordering stuff for his rituals. And it's so funny. It was so funny. This was actual corporate magical evilness, and it was so good. And then the smut. I was like expecting smut with like a skeleton and we have to get creative with some magic. Nah. This lich was actually kind of a chimera. So we had a lot of things going on in a lot of places. And I was surprised in a good way, and that was actually fun. I love that one. I enjoyed my time with that one. That one was funny. The cover is horrendous because I don't know if you can see it on this one. I did not crop this in any way. I just made it smaller to fit on the screen, right? But like the graphics that were used on the cover are a bit smushed because they had to fit apparently. Then the cloak, his cloak is I think just a silhouette, and then someone took a skull and like just glued it on his form, and the skeletal hand on her thigh, if you zoom in, that's not a skeleton hand, that's a piece of armor. He's not wearing armor in the book. He also doesn't have a skeleton face. But like, this has to be one of the worst photoshopped covers I have ever seen. And I'm so glad that I still picked it up, because this cover does not do the thing that's inside justice. This is another one of those instances where the cover is so bad you don't expect anything, and then you get absolutely everything. This is now the third time I picked up a book with a meh cover, with a meh premise, and it is just so good. I seem to have a talent for that, and I'm so here for it. I actually think I need to specifically look for bad covers now in order to read good books, because apparently that's how I find them. I gave that 4 stars. I was so entertained with this one. And the last thing I finished was The Fating by Diana Roman. And this one, again, you see the cover. It's giving Shrek, but if you zoom in, you can see tiny silver stars on his chest. They are important to the story. This cover is, again, horrendous. But again, this book was so good. It was so funny. The premise is you have this human guy sometime in the future, and he is on a prison planet on accident, and then he meets another prisoner and they escape together. And this other prisoner is this Shrek guy on the cover. He is not in any shape or form creative. That is what I most hate about alien romances. This is why I never gravitated towards alien romances, because you have any shape, like, you can do anything with aliens. With monsters, you're still kind of tied down to what we perceive as monsters. Aliens, you could do absolutely everything, and everyone is just going human but big. No, be creative with it. Anyway, this guy, very much humanoid, just a bit taller, like he's described as 7 foot tall. I don't know how much that is in meters and centimeters because I don't speak American sizing. So he's just tall, and he has 3 balls. That is all, and he has these weird stars on his chest. They glow, by the way. They glow. They can, like, glow like just floodlights. It's so funny, and he's green. But other than that, he's basically human. But oh my god. So they are, this human and the Shrek guy are on this spaceship escaping from their little prison planet, right? And they are stuck there together for like, I think 2 weeks, 2 Earth weeks, I guess. And I don't even remember what initiated it, but for some reason, both of them are extremely horny. And it has to do with something called the fating. Fating is basically a mating bond imposed by the universe onto you. So they're extremely horny, and we are only in the head of the human, and all he wants to do is get away from this prison planet, find somewhere where he can get on another ship and then go home. That is all he wants to do. His whole crew died. There's like, he just wants to go home, and now he's with this green alien dude, and it's okay, cool, but the green alien dude is like touchy feeling, and something is weird. They also don't speak the same language at the beginning, and shit just starts going whack. It's basically an hormonal imbalance, but he realizes something is bad when his Shrek guy, who's piloting the ship, is starting to die on him, and he himself cannot jerk off because it hurts. So Shrek guy explains the fating to him. The human doesn't get it, but in the end they just do the deed in order to save Shrek guy's life, because Shrek guy is the only one who can pilot the ship, and they are heading into like a meteorite belt thingamathing thing. So we need Shrek alive. So in order to do that, we have to bond. The problem being, our human is extremely straight. He is firmly of the opinion that he only wants women. He is so straight. And because of this fating, things go haywire with his body and the way he experiences things and the way he feels certain things. So this is his first ever experience with another man, and everything goes haywire for him. And he is like the straightest guy ever. The way he is written is the straightest guy ever. This is basically how you can imagine a straight guy reacting to anything gay ever. The sentences he lets go. Some of my favorite quotes are, you turned my ass into a woman and broke my dick, and I think I'm developing Cockholm syndrome because of the way it starts to feel like it belongs there. This shit is so fucking funny. It was so fun, and it was so well written too. By page 20, I was rooting for both of these idiots. Like, oh my god, it was such a good story. Bad cover, good story. How am I finding these books? How am I finding these books? I gave that one 4 stars as well. Like, what the fuck? It's how am I? How do I do this? How am I picking up books with the worst covers ever, and then they turn out to be really great books? It's a mystery. It's a Galileo mystery. So yeah, expect my next week to be filled with more strange monster smut things, because this readathon goes all the way until Halloween, and I aim to fulfill it. I aim to fill out this bingo board now. Oh boy. I forgot to mention, I also finished Teeth, Talon, Tongue by Lee Iron, which is a basically retelling of Prometheus's punishment when he was tied up on the stone for stealing fire from mankind. And in that one, we follow one of the vultures that was sent to eat his liver. And it's basically, okay, the vulture and Prometheus were lovers, and the vulture volunteered to punish Prometheus for what he did, like stealing the fire, so that they could be together still. Viciously beautiful, because it's like it's basically cannibalism. Like, this vulture volunteered to go down and eat Prometheus's liver, which is his soul, basically, according to the mythology. So he goes down every day and eats the liver of the love of his life. Viscerally beautiful. It's a short story. It's only 22 pages long, but I liked it, and I gave that 4 stars as well. Editing me here. This video is getting way too long, so I decided to split it into 2 parts, and you get a 2-for-1 special. So welcome to the end of part 1, I guess. If you made it this far into the video, let me know how your reading has been going in October. And if you don't want to talk to me, leave a sun emoji in the comments down below, because why not? And yeah, I see you in approximately 10 seconds when I film the intro to part 2. That was never planned to be a part 2. Okay, cool. I guess I see you in that next video. Bye.